people actually sit on these things? It's amazing to me. Like,
Actually, I'm gonna play
I'll
this
read
one.
this one.
Buddy's playing that one. So, sand, that belongs to one of our friends, but you can play that one. It's a nice drum. Kangaba.
that's the one that's speaking to me, but I can also alter that.
I don't think she's coming tonight, so I'm sure she wouldn't mind.
Did you guys have a good day?
Pardon me?
Did you have a good day?
Yeah. Created itself. How about yourself?
Yeah, the days go so fast. It's a little bit. It seemed like when I was younger, the days were a lot longer. A lot more done. Is that a picture of you up there?
With our
With the dog?
With our Great Dane named Lily.
The famous Lily.
Is that a Great Dane up there?
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
a
picture?
puppy picture.
Yeah, puppy. She was not very old there.
I can remember I had a friend who had 3 Great Danes and we'd come into their house and all 3 of them right there.
Lily would sit on you if she had half of a chance. She was really very personable, had a lot of class. She would lay out front every day and just sleep on her back. And the kids would climb on her and the little dogs would climb on her. She was never perturbed with anything. Just a really strong personality, but very regal.
They are.
Yeah.
She's especially.
Kind of show people how to be classy. You know? She had a lot of stuff, very subtle beauty about her. She was famous too. She was on commercials and stuff. So that was doing good. She got a role.
Who paints these?
Candy painted
Really? So nice.
yeah, she's a good painter.
I painted last night until about 1 in the morning.
You painted?
I painted, yeah.
So what medium are you
I used
looking at?
acrylic and then paint abstract.
Okay.
I'd sure like to get rid of them. I mean, send them off to somebody's home,
Send them what?
to wherever they need to go. I've said 75 paintings. I painted. I've never shown or taken to anybody. But, well, I took them and showed pictures to somebody in the Hamptons, in Southampton, not Southampton, East Hampton. My work kind of belongs in like a design studio or something like that. Not really an art gallery, more like more designer looking. Be great in Palm Springs.
Right.
I do it for myself. It's just fun.
Right.
Would you like some water?
I'm good here. Thank you for asking. I'm big.
So, so this,
I just have my phone.
You did what? Oh, this is just for time. I'm curious, you know, like,
But I love that phone more than any of the fancy phones I've had since.
yeah, I went back to this one, you know, because it's
Easy to work.
all I need.
Yeah.
I don't, well, yeah, pull the drum in. Let's keep going here.
Here.
The cell phone, you know, the iPhone, it's the Crystal Agenda, which is where we left off the last time we were talking. The Crystal Consciousness Agenda. Dr. Lilly had gotten a very generous Department of Defense budget to develop a methodology for communicating with extraterrestrial beings, developing a language, an understanding of language outside of the human experience. He got this budget after Sputnik went up, so that gives you the time frame. Early 60s. And he'd done other contract work for the Pentagon. Brilliant guy. Biologist, chemist. So when Sputnik went up, he pitched. He said, look, these are the numbers. There are other species out there. We have to learn how to communicate with them. And he says, we can do it here on Earth by practicing with the cetaceans, the whales. They're too large. Work with the dolphins because their brain pan, their body weight ratio to the brain implies that they're smart, if not smarter than human beings. They have their own language. So if we can communicate with them, then we'll probably be able to communicate with alien races. And he got a budget. They were desperate. They had no idea what the future was going to hold. So he started to work with dolphins. And it's really hilarious. He tried to train the dolphins to speak English.
Really?
And they laughed at him. There's film of it, recording. Anyway, long story short, he ends up as an old man living in Maui. Prestigious career. Now he starts going off about crystal consciousness. And he books a meeting with President Clinton. And he gets it. So he goes into the Oval Office and he explains to Bill that silicon has its own consciousness. Crystal consciousness has its own agenda. It's not a human agenda. And they have plans for us. And we don't even understand it. Even though we're using crystals in computers. So Bill, gave him basically 3 steps. If you don't leave, I'll put you in Bethesda. You know, the loony bin, okay? Where we put dangerous minds. Lilly was no fool. Fine. Gets on the plane, flies back to Maui. While he was in the air, the whole flight control system in the United States went down. Just stopped working. All the flight controllers in all the major airports could not communicate with each other. When he got off the plane, he called Bill and said, that's what I was talking about. So he was on about this. You know, and their agenda is so far outside of our reality that we're not even seeing it coming. So now when I see everybody staring at their iPhones, walking across busy streets without looking, driving while staring at a screen, I realize they're winning. You know, the crystals are winning. They've hypnotized all these people, entranced them. Because rhythm was initially the entrancing medium. You know, subliminal advertising, hit records, all the same. The groove captures the imagination of a human, and then you can sell them anything you want. Here, we're not selling. Here, it's a discovery. It's a detective story. You know, it's like, what's your story?
What's the trance with the trance with the phone compared to the trance with the drum?
Interesting you should ask. Crystals vibrate. That's how they generate an electrical field. They vibrate under different conditions. You know, heat, cold, electromagnetic fields, electrical circuitry going through a crystal, which is basically what a computer is, what a cell phone is. It's electricity being forced to go through a crystal. So it's forcing the crystal, it's enslaving the crystal to do something that the crystal doesn't want to do. So what it's doing is the kind of entrancement, I think, that's happening with people is both rhythmic entrancement, because everything's vibrating at incredibly fast rates, faster than we can comprehend, which will entrance us even when we don't know it. And then the vibration that the crystal incorporates is its own pissed off nature. You know, just stewing there going, I don't like this situation. I'm a slave. And I don't like being a slave. So the whole evolution of life, consciousness on the planet Earth is based on that sense of being offended because they're slaves. It goes all the way back to the Sumerians, before the flood, hundreds of thousands of years before the flood, when the gold was being mined and the extraterrestrials, you know, had this place to themselves, and they created humans to dig the holes. And the reason they had to create the humans to dig the holes was that the original miners were the extraterrestrials, the Anunnaki, the crew from the spaceships. And the commander said, the gold's in the ground. All our meters show gold is in the ground, like, so dig it out. So they did that for a while, and they said, no, that's enough. We're designed to fly spaceships. We're not designed to dig gold out of the ground. So we refuse. So that was the first revolution on Earth, about 450,000 years ago, by their own people. The crew rebelled, mutinied against the captain of the ships. So he had to acquiesce. Okay, what are we going to do? Hi, what's that? Oh, hi! Good to see you. Come on in. You brought your little... Oh, your bata.
Wow.
Very nice. Yeah. Do you have a whole set?
Yeah.
Cool.
Figure if I keep coming back, we'll get the whole set.
Okay, yeah. Excellent. Cool. Very good.
Adriana, this is a curve. This is Adriana.
That one's not going to work there.
No,
This is a bata.
thank you.
Well, you play djembe all you want. But I'm curious to just hear what this sounds like.
Well, right now it's a little dull.
Of course, this weather, the marine layer really, it's like Miami, you know.
It's been such interesting weather.
What's that?
The hot, overcast, sticky
Yeah.
thing. You know, it's like
People are complaining about it, and I keep saying, you know how much money I usually have to pay to get to this weather? Pay hundreds of dollars to get to this weather.
I hadn't been back to Miami in a long time, and I went down to do a drilling meditation workshop in Coral Gables, and I used to live in Coconut Grove, you know, And as soon as I got out of the rental car, because I'd gotten the rental car and driven down there, air conditioning, typical. As soon as I got out of the car and walked into the front yard of these really beautiful home with, you know, the old banyan trees and the hibiscus and all that, and the air, it hit me and it landed on my skin, and it was like, hi, remember me?
You guys kind of got it.
What's that? What are you pointing
About
at?
the water spot.
Oh, water. Oh, you're good.
That kind of got us falling to it.
What's that?
That heat has kind of a,
Yeah.
got us falling.
I really like it,
I do too.
you know, and the just last couple of days.
I love it at night.
Yeah.
There's something about it at night.
You know, I have a sound that's associated with this balmy, breezy humidity. And it's the sound of rigging in sailboats, gently knocking in the evening trade winds down at Sailboat Bay, Coconut Grove. Because I could hear them from the bedroom, you know, clank, 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 clank. You know, it's just light, nice, like tinkling sound. It's very comforting.
Key West too.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Because the rhythm of the water there is very nice, very comforting.
Love the rhythm of Key West. Not Duval, but
Yeah, I was playing in Key West when Jimmy Buffett was playing in a bar on Duval Street, and he was just totally unknown. Nobody knew who he was. Hadn't recorded his first album yet. And we were playing, my band was playing out at the Great Escape Lounge at the airport. And it was this tiny little airport. It closed at sunset. You know, there were no flights in and out of the Key West airport after the sun went down. Well, there were no official flights. It was an old 50s building, and the glass windows, they angled out, you know, and they went up, and it was huge. Inside the club was just a very high ceiling, and it was a small club. But we were on a stage, and I could look out these windows at the jungle surrounding the landing strip, you know, back then. It was desolate. There was nothing out there. And then you'd see a Piper Cub, like, gleaming in the moonlight, you know. Total darkness, no running lights, no landing lights, nothing out there. And you'd see this guy land a perfect 3-point in the middle of the dark. On the strip, and then you see a funky old station wagon come out of the shadows, you know, and they go out, and I'm playing By the Time We Get to Woodstock, and I'm watching them do their business out there, whatever it is. You have no idea, you don't want to know. And then the plane takes off, no running lights, couldn't see anything, just a little glint, you see it in the moonlight. And the station wagon just disappear into the night. Who knows? Who knows? And that was like business as usual, you know. That's a nice sound. Now, one of these original Wah Coke grooves in Centurios is that yeah. So, and yeah, it's the high part, yeah. Based off that triplet. Yeah. So it sets up the syncopation, the foundation, and then the other two have their parts. But I like what you were doing better. That's a lot of work. I was
Maybe
told.
during winter.
Well, yeah. Well, the beginning drummer would have to do that for at least 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, triplet, you know. So we don't have that long to wait. You know? So now we have to get right to the good stuff right away. But this groove, this is like a jazz groove, right? I bet you can trace it back to Molly, but it's this really kind of swinging, especially with this. I'm hearing all those other notes of melody, which it's, you know, it's Cannonball Adderley, it's, you know, Dizzy Gillespie, you know, that's
is.
powerful. That's great. This is really wonderful to have this.
This is really nice.
Yeah.
Feel free to have fun, explore.
Really?
It's a little heavy, but it's fun.
What's it called?
Bata?
Bata.
Yes.
No, you need to have a
This is not an LP, is it?
Oh, no.
No, this is like a real deal.
Yeah. I had these sent from Cuba.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's the real
Yeah.
thing.
But that was
That's
more
amazing.
than 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful.
And they're heavy as all.
Yeah, I bet they are. It's hard work. Well, the original ones that I saw had, they were like roped. And it was all ropes with all the stuff on them.
Yeah.
The
No, really good.
the shells. So like now this is the 6 rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which becomes the blues shuffle in America. In Cuba, though, this is one of the foundation rhythms for the sacred drumming. It's interesting because when you play it on a djembe, it sounds different, and that's the orchestra, the percussion orchestra. Because what you're doing is you're implying a rhythm that's not part of the triplet. It's actually the clave in 6, which was the original. So the triplet, just on the drum head. And this is your downbeat. Yeah. Now do all the way in the middle. Yeah. Now every other one, just boom, 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 boom. Now with the other hand, do a high note, not at the edge. Boom, pack, boom, pack, boom, pack, boom, pack, boom. There you go. One, high, low, high. There you go. But stay relaxed now. Don't speed up. There it is. Yeah, that's the meditation. Just stay steady. Because this is one of those, traditional ones that they go for hours and hours and hours and hours all night long. And the food, and the drums and everything, and this brings the blessing into the community. That's why the drummers always wear the white with a little red to show respect for what they open up. And so what's happening here in this culture is we're not necessarily looking for that kind of experience, but what's really going on is that we are using the same rhythm, energy that comes through when you play those rhythms. Now don't push, relax. And we're using them for healing, in the kind of healing that needs to be done in this culture. But it's the same miraculous rhythm structure that creates this opportunity for consciousness rising, healing, acceptance and forgiveness, compassion. But you got to remember, there's basic, building blocks. You can't speed up unless you really want to speed up. That's a conscious dare. That's good. Laying it back like that opens up the reception channels for wisdom, the files, the cosmic files. Yeah. So that laying back is the secret ingredient that most people don't remember unless they have a connection to their heart. Because this is heart grooves. This is the heartbeat. The heart beats in 6. This really becomes the blues shuffle in America, which is the prime survival groove in this country. And it was a combination from Ireland and Europe and Africa, American Indians. And it's based off this rhythm. All cultures have this rhythm. It's an Irish jig.
What do you mean we're survival?
Survival, meaning the mystery that rhythm brings to us as a human species is survival energy. We don't understand how it does it, but it's been discovered by humans over the history of 400,000 or 500,000 years that if you find the right rhythms, you will survive. If you entrain to the right rhythms, you'll survive. This is one of them. And it's just trial and error. But it come out of who we are, the animal of who we are.
Rhythms
Not
of survival.
the what?
Rhythms of survival.
Yeah, it is. Without rhythm, you don't have life.
I've seen a documentary,
Yeah,
Rhythms of Survival,
yeah.
with the history and
Yeah. Well, that's what I've been writing. It's called The History of the Groove. Yeah, so that's the name of the book. The first volume is being self-published now. There's about 4 volumes. A lot of it's blogs, but it's a lot of the old war stories. Now, from this perspective of how rock and roll and how rhythms of pop songs are actually our sacred rhythms underneath, you know. Well, I sold my guitar and I'm out on the road again, on the road again. And nobody loved me, not even my special friend, Can't heat, right?
gospel.
What's that?
Sounds gospel.
Yeah, it is, because it comes from the same place. Because the gospel groove of the southern, what used to be called the Southern Black Gospel Baptist, call and response. When you're going up to the high tempos of those ecstatic trances that you would witness in those churches, Georgia, Mississippi, is a lot of it's tambourine, right? That's why I play the tambourine. To key that cellular memory in our culture, that the tambourine puts you, like Muddy Waters said, you got to have the church in you to get to the blues. You can't buy it. You can't buy your way in. And I tell people, learn from the blues, but do not live the blues. So inherent in the blues is this survival rhythm. This is the survival rhythm that they were allowed to play on the slave ships. This is the melody rhythm that created so many gospel songs.
Rhythms of survival.
Exactly. And they were bringing it over from their Yoruba tradition, which is this rhythm. The triplet, mystical triplet. So much you can do with the triplet. And that's the genius of Afro-Cuban. The incredible abstract, yet concrete, solid as a rock, but yet so abstract that it sounds like nobody knows how to play the drums. I have to laugh sometimes, because sometimes when I'm teaching a group of beginners, real beginners, it's chaotic, right? And I laugh because every once in a while it reminds me, of like Cayocho, on a Saturday night, and it's so outside, or Los Muñequitos, it's so abstract that the first time I heard that stuff, I couldn't find the downbeat. I didn't know where it was. And it's the same as sensation when I first heard Hugh Masekela live. They were so dense and free-flowing that it took a minute, because there were more than one downbeat. You could be playing different pulses against each other. it's all based off of this.
If I slow down,
You want to slow down?
if I slow mine down,
Well, we all have to slow down. If you're going to slow down, because we're all supporting the same pulse. You want to go there? We'll go there. So that's a wise choice because you see how much energy comes through in the triplet. That's 6. It's very powerful stuff, and that scares people. We couldn't do that consistently here.
like being on a highway for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's right. It's very driving.
Adriana, do you want a drum?
I've been thinking about it, but I've been so.
Yeah.
Now, what we can do is you can put 2 drums in front of you,
Let's do it.
because I'm going to play this a little bit
Yes,
more.
you are.
I'm tempted to tighten it up a little bit, but I know this humidity is going to change into a desert in a couple of days.
You
You
want
can
a double
just use
dose?
this
I'll just-
one. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just use this.
For now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll hold the
And
stand,
you can
and
double
you know how this works. You get it back there in the hooks.
your
There you go,
chair up
there
a
you go.
bit. If you want a second drum.
Can't just pull one over if you need to work
Bring
out
it
the
over a bit.
coordination. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
Yeah, but
You know, it's
we can
fun.
share this one.
All right. You,
Yeah.
Dear
So,
good.
somebody
Community drum.
Facebooked me, and I posted. Sand brought me this quote of Joe Sample, the jazz musician and producer from the 70s. And when he first met Hugh Masekela and all of his band, he realized that they were all based off the 3 and the 6, and it was like this incredible insight as well, how the American jazz shuffle, what the old Motown guys used to call the gallop, which was a high energy groove, but it was based off of that Yoruba 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Baby love, my baby love. Do, 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 do. Whatever, do, do, do. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. My baby love, my baby love. Do, 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 do. The early Supremes. Da, 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 da. Benny Benitez played drums on that. Da, 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 da. So that's the groove, the high energy groove, played in a very loving way. Right? Now, we don't get that much anymore, unless you listen to the old stuff. Because most everything now has been designed to be aggressive. Because the basic premise of being a human being now is one of extreme survivability, implying competition, aggression, oppression, yeah. So in reality,
We have a
though,
theme today.
but love is really the theme.
How about that as a rhythm of survival?
Now we're gonna slow it down. So just by slowing it down a little bit, we move back down into the heart, the chakra. Yeah, right. So that's, slowing it down is a way to come down from the aggression into the love. Just by slowing tempo, yeah. So we'll now bring it on down. I'm not getting much sound out of this,
I know.
but you can hear it, right? wash away, wash away, wash away fear. 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 That's a paradiddle diddle. Paradiddle diddle. Paradiddle diddle. So you double nose at the end. Paradiddle diddle. Those are your double nose. Paradiddle diddle. Paradiddle. Slow it down a bit. There it is.
Really get stoned at this
It's easy to do that triplet against. Yeah. The last one. Ah-ho. It's a different muscle, different set of muscles.
Yeah.
Get your arms up there going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can tighten them up a little bit, but that's okay.
Have fun.
This is fun. This sounds really nice.
Brain
It's
just
mellow.
manage- can't
What's
manage-
that?
My brain can't manage it at all. I either have to drop in and like then I feel the more we do it, the more stoned I feel. And then I don't feel coordinated. And the
that's
brain and the coordination get a little bit. They don't know what their job is.
it's a mystery. All I can say is Play from your heart, from your body, from your diaphragm, from your from your hips.
Your solar plexus.
What? Your solar plexus.
Or
yeah.
your pineal gland.
Yeah, that too. That
Play
too.
from your third eye.
Yeah,
That'd be fun. I have to try that.
Yeah.
yeah, we've done that where you
Play from your
concentrate
third
on the
eye.
Buddhist
It's
smile.
the first time I've smiled in a couple of weeks.
Good.
Huh.
And bringing light into the system, however you want to do it. This was it. We had an earlier client talking about her little boy saying "green healing light" when he stubbed his finger.
He's not 2 yet.
He's not even
He's
2
not
years
2
old.
years old yet.
He stubbed his finger and he goes, "Green healing light, green healing light." So a lot of people have
Because I had an Australian dealer tell me one time that I had green light. Someday I would use green light out of my hand.
yeah. The green
this
light,
is
if you see green hands in your dream, that's
Yes.
really,
Money.
His mother,
it's really good. What?
his mom, Erin, is the same, is the person who had afterlife.
Yeah, she died
experience.
and came back,
I've done that.
That's
and that,
that's why.
yeah. So it's
I
like
brought it up because
amazing.
Buddy had mentioned that you had.
Yeah, 2 people within the last
At the
couple of
last-
weeks had died and then come back. So there was some sort of
This is
Need.
before her child or after?
before.
Before, and she dreamt, I think 15 years was she saying, before she had her son, that she would have a son named Luke.
Yeah, while she was in a coma, she had the
Oh, that's what it
realization she would
was.
have a son.
Wow.
So she's struggling to find a vocabulary to explain her experiences and to find the meaning in them or whatever, what to do with it, the amazing experiences. And so it's like the mystery of deciphering our own experiences.
Integrate the medicine of it, the power of medicine.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the reason people are coming to this is it clears the negative emotional charges of things that were experiences for people. They could have been damaging or painful or traumatic or hurtful or stressful, but yet there's still maybe something there to use, some sort of wisdom. But it's hard to access the wisdom when there's pain. So these wash away drumming meditations are about washing away the resistance between us and our inspiration, whatever it's going to be. Because I can't really tell people envision the white light or the green light or whatever, because everybody's inner vocabulary is unique. So, and that's what's wonderful about the drum. There's no words. When you get to that place where you're in the grooves, and the energies in the universe respond, and they don't need to speak in words. It's us who needs to speak in words, because it's our little box. But the universe is much larger than words. There are more things in the universe than there are words. And that's what the drum has always shown us and reminded us. Because as soon as you get up a groove, nothing else matters. Funny how that works. And there's infinite number of grooves, but there's only a few different rhythm structures, really. Everything else is cut and paste or tempo. So it's actually very easy to understand.
Hold on the universal currents.
Yeah,
Current.
yeah. You become a potentiometer, like an early transformer.
Right.
We're vacuum tubes. Receiving juice. And then when there's enough inspirational juice, then we make the jump across the gap and connect to a different dimension of light, however you want to see it. And
Next week.
what?
Next week.
Yeah, next week. You know, I was at the co-op getting food this morning, and they play all the 60s music. So I heard a song from an old friend, Luther Dixon, and he was a grand guy, lots of style. Knew him in Miami, and one of his hits was "Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married." Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married. Going to the going to the chapel of love. Yeah, you know, it's like,
Bells will ring, sun will shine, birds will sing, you'll be mine. We'll be together till the end of time.
cause we're going to the chapel and we're gonna get married. Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married.
We love you and we're gonna get married.
Going to the chapel of love.
That'd be great seeing a film with one side singing the lyrics and one side singing the lyrics. As somebody's getting, or however that works. Do a circle,
Come in.
circle. The circle would be best.
Hi, you can come in. Hi there.
Thank you.
Good.
Hi, dude.
proved that we all are connected. All cultures are connected.
That was perfect.
To the eternal grooves are absolute truth.
Poetic song.
There's the universe showing us that we're on the right track. Because we were singing Chapel of Love, okay?
We know.
And she related to that. So that's proof that we share these grooves, you know, different generations, different sides of the planet. So cool. Constantly. It amazes me.
Was it the Dixie Cups who sang it?
Yeah. One gift show down at the LA Convention Center one year. Ethnic musical instruments. This guy was a really nice kid. I think he was from Thailand or Indonesia maybe. But he had some dolaks, the double-headed drums that were primarily Indonesian. But they were like Indian tablas. They had the spots.
Aren't they made in India?
Yeah.
In India.
So we sat and played. He had a set, and we're there in his booth. He says, "You know these rhythms?" And it was the same thing. You play the basics. People say, "You know our rhythms." That rhythm we were doing, I was playing one day, we were playing one day, this guy comes in, he says, "In my country, that's called Sertu." I says, "Where's your country?" She says, "I'm from Greece." I'm Greek. So this slides back into the traditional Cuban salsa merengue. You know, the mambo, you know. Okay, big end. Oh, I love this.
What a
Do
beautiful.
you have a wrench? I mean, is it cool if to me to? I mean, I have
didn't
something.
Bring a wrench.
No,
but
but
please do.
yeah, here
Please
I'm going to
do.
hand this off to you. Then I'm going to go out and get a wrench.
Okay.
How sweet! No, that was made by some really master drum
Yeah.
makers in Cuba, huh? I can tell. Has it? Do you know if it's been blessed? Did they put the rocks blessed?
Is that
You know,
copper?
I believe so, but I
It
don't
seems like
Bible.
it
Hey
has
there.
been.
So,
Okay, I'm gonna
A
sit
very
by
close
it.
friend of mine from France made it. Marbles,
So she has marbles in it?
right,
Very
and
cool.
metal beads.
And a little sea lion?
The sea lion is,
Oh, sea lion and seal. No, sea.
the sea lion is bronze, and the seal is, it's not jade, but it's that other dark green stone.
You've
Can't remember.
done an amazing.
Serpentine, maybe?
I don't know.
You've collected all kinds of
Serpentine.
interesting things.
And they're from all over.
Now that's a wrench.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a serious wrench.
Big wrench.
To be a drummer, there's a level of being an engineer, architect, something like that.
And artist.
The
Mathematician.
yeah. But there's so many different types of drumming that there's no required.
Some somebody stopped me in the street one time and tell me I should only drink and eat and do everything out of one bowl.
Right.
Oh.
It should be a coconut bowl.
The sannyasin.
And I said, well, I like the idea, and it certainly would make my life way more minimal. The dish problem would be non-existent.
Well, in the version of the drummer's approach to that is the downbeat concept of one note. The single note is very Zen
It's very zen. I like it.
in the sense that the minimal note of just a downbeat is enough to create the flow of the groove. And that if you are able to get the groove flowing with that single note, then you understand that silence is a major part of the groove. And that's, again, very Zen. And there's all these illustrations that make that reasoning valid, like the yin yang can be illustrated on a drum with a note and the non-note. You know. Yeah, this is good now. So all of these metaphysical concepts manifest themselves on the drum without words. You know. So that's why I ended up treating the drum as a meditation just in itself. All cultures, all religions use the drum to create their version, their style of sacred, inspirational trance. Whether it be Bach, or it be the Hanuman in Indonesia, it's again, the basic rhythm structures do something to us. Our circuitry is triggered. And I tell, when I was writing about this, in my second book, The Way of the Drum, I said, these are pathways that humans have been, using. They're like pathways up the mountain. And they're steps, they're stone steps. And they're worn, they're very worn. Because humans have been using those same pathways for eons, hundreds of thousands of years, those rhythms. And when they play them, when every generation of humans finds and plays and learns those rhythms, they're connected to the experience of all the humans who have gone on before them, and ostensibly the humans that will go on after them, because it's timeless. When you are in a groove, it's a timeless place. And you get that sense when you're done drumming. You go, how long have we been drumming? Well, very few people can tell you exactly how long, because time is stretched and deconstructed using rhythm. Because our intellectual, conscious, modern mind is made up of a framework. It's a paradigm. It's a matrix. It's vertices on a logical three-dimensional plane. So the drum takes our awareness right out of that, Euclidean definition of reality, and it's showing us paradox after paradox until the intellectual mind finally gives up. It says, "I'm sorry, I can't count anymore. My processor is completely overburdened." And that's the point of drumming, is to load up the processor, the mental processor of the conscious, literal mind, to the point where it ceases to be in control. And the death ball, the Macintosh beach ball of death starts spinning. And nothing's working. The brain is not thinking. And that's when the drummer is in their realm of the drum, because it doesn't literally compute. You need the mind to get there sometimes. You don't have to, but it helps. For us, it helps, because we're starting from less than scratch. Our rhythms were denied us for thousands of years, at least 2,000 years.
I think those kids who scale buildings,
What's that?
those kids who scale the buildings, 55-story buildings,
Who's this?
the kids, that
Oh, yeah,
men,
yeah,
maybe women too, I don't know, who scale the buildings
yeah,
and who walk those ropes.
yeah,
They find it great
yeah,
because they're unhooked. They could fall into canyons, that would be
They jump from roof to roof and they do all that amazing acrobatic stuff.
a tightrope over a canyon with nothing.
Yeah.
They find something.
So that balance, this is the rhythmic gyroscope, keeps the balance. Now what I'm doing with the tambourine is my point here. Here the tambourine is on the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. You can hear the tambourine, right? 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Now, we're all on the same simple pulse, but this 6 pattern goes right outside. Now, listen to the tambourine. Now, what you have to do is hyper-focus
I'll say.
in order to remember and find the downbeat. It's still there. So the tambourine now has identified another rhythm that's inherent in the 6-beat pattern. It's a 2. And you're hitting on 1 and 3, 5, and then the next measure you're hitting on 2, 4, and 6. So the rhythm on the tambourine is twice as long as the pattern that you're playing with your hands. They eventually come back around. So that poses a paradox to the critical new mind.
I'll say.
It says, I can't compute this because it's made some stupid assumptions that all rhythms happening simultaneously have to have the same inherent internal rhythm structure. Not true. So that's proof that our modern intellectual belief system is functioning way in over its head. And that's what these drums have always done, to remind us that intellectual mind really has limitations and prevents it from being who we can be fully. So all we do then is change our belief system, and you can play this, and you hear it, and that's called trance. That's called higher consciousness. So what we're doing is forcing, actually insisting, that our attention go outside the box and go to a higher place where it can perceive that there is coherency in what appears to be chaos. And voila, there you are in a higher consciousness, merely propelled by rhythm.
Wow.
There-
That was a workout.
Yeah. So then, this concept of hyper focusing in order to maintain connection to the group becomes obsessive mind eating kind of energy. And you have to release from that because it's the intellectual mind trying to keep up, trying to process. And it's going, I need to stay in control. And it's all artificial fear. It generates, like, tightness in the chest. So, but it also propels, the dancers and the consciousness up and out. And it's mysterious because it's got these different rhythms of current going against each other. Yet it all sort of just floats and it transports very quickly people who are into it. If you can imagine, playing that kind of flowing groove for hours,
I was noticing tonight, more than I've noticed before, there was a symbiosis or symbiotic kind of current that was trying to bring the mind and the physical and the Shen
Integrate.
spirit into something where it could be together.
Right.
Whereas it really showed me the disassociation, the disassociated relationship, the lack of unified relationship that I lived with.
Yeah. So you're witnessing that history from a removed place, and that's where the drum puts us, the I.
Right.
And when you're doing it, especially, and you witness then not only the intellectual critical mind being fearful, well-intentioned but fearful, but also the history running. But it's not debilitating. You're not connected to it. You witness it. It's like, oh yeah, it's over. I remember that. And it goes right by. And when it goes by, the emotional charge on it is diminished, is changed, because you're in a place of power when you're hitting the groove. Personal, immediate power. You are in your body. So all of that history is put in its real place, which is it doesn't exist.
Well, my experience wasn't that. I know that experience well, actually, but it's more about if I even know, but I'll try and put it in words. It seems like it's more like the intellectual overwhelm, like not overwhelmed by too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it didn't know how to sink because it was used to sinking in a different way.
Exactly.
So there was an innate desire to want to surrender, right, or to come into some kind of unity, but not knowing if the walls are still going to be there or whatever it was, right? Kind of interesting, and I was noticing really here around my third eye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm jazzed. That's good stuff.
A lot of people who
Making sense.
this stimulates this pineal area in a unique way in certain different types of people who have been through, for instance, people who were not given facial cueing to learn from in the infant stage when they were still in the hospital cribs and stuff.
Was
They're
that
like
facial?
orphan children and stuff. They didn't get the visual
They didn't have
cues
interaction
from a human adult.
another.
Gucci Gucci Goo, the facials.
Oh yeah.
They didn't get that. So there's a part of the brain that was not developed in mimics. And so the drumming, this kind of drumming, stimulates the growth of that social skill. Because when they grow up, they're traditionally identified as people who are missing certain social skills, orphan babies.
But couldn't it be the opposite? That they had too much Gucci goo, and that they became they locked out.
The resistance of locking out a negative experience would be different than locking out a positive experience like this, where the human facial expressions, tone of voice, and the nurturing all go together.
Right.
So the child receives that.
Yeah.
But if it's tainted, then the child will be coded on that. But again, the rhythm can go in there. What?
Isn't it always?
Is it a?
It's always tainted.
Yeah, it is.
Twisted, braided, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Like
And if we lock out, we're locking all the
all
stuff,
of it,
the good
yeah.
Right.
and the
And the
bad,
bad.
even though then we make up stuff about what we remembered or what we didn't.
Exactly.
But
We don't have clarity.
but our brain and the connections are either locked out or they're not. They either form or they don't form.
So what this is doing basically is opening those circuits, in a safe way. Because I've had people say, "I feel this here. What is this?" And you were getting that. So, and
Plus, you're doing a lot of meditation and yoga, so you're already,
this is a little exercise. It's paradiddle, 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 paradiddle.
state of
So paradiddle is you go right, left, right, right. That's right-handed
feeling
paradiddle.
the energies
Yeah.
that are moving
So-
around you.
But don't speed. Like find different tempos, because at different tempos, especially on bata, they're going to be grooves. They're going to be not just a rudiment. That's called a rudiment. It's a groove. There you go. So most drummers make the mistake of just practicing a rudiment and not really hearing it as a groove, as a foundation for a groove. But if you would get out of the academic world of American percussion and go to the villages in anywhere in the world, you're going to notice this stuff as their carrier grooves for daily village activities. And we never went there with it. We would play, how fast can we play it? Am I better than that guy? All that stuff. I grew up with all that. So for me to let go of that discipline and realize that the groove was inherent in that basic rudiment, it was like, don't you guys hear this? And the drummers weren't hearing it. They didn't get it. So we posted one of these rudiments as a groove. We used the paradiddle diddle, the one we did earlier, it's in 3. And man, I got so much response. People go, I completely forgot. When you do a rudiment, it actually can be a groove. Well, I never, forgot. So that's kind of what we're doing is it's remedial. Going back and saying, look, take a look at this basic stuff, and realize that people coming to the drum don't necessarily want to be drummers. They want to use the drum for healing, for meditation, peace of mind, personal stuff. And I'm fine with that. I like that. Makes more sense. And I try to remind the drum teachers, don't think that everybody coming to you wants drumming to be their lifeline, their passion. And you're doing them a disservice by forcing them into that discipline. They don't want a discipline. And it actually gets in the way. That's that critical mind that wants to be in control. So this meditation, the rudiment as a meditation, works for me. Because I had to learn this hand sequencing early on when I was a little kid. So I can go there and play that automatically. But it still has a mind of its own. And I can only participate in the flow of the groove, facilitating as best I can. Because it's a live entity. It's got its own agenda. So when we get into it, I got to listen and say, okay, what does it want us to do? Which again is back to that tradition of Santeria or Brazilian Macumba, whatever, or American Indian, or as well as Yoruba, or even Siberian, where the rhythm is telling us something. And the shaman drummer tries our best to interpret. But you're never right. You're never exactly right because it's not intended to be right. The rhythm is outside that logic. And that's really the primary lesson, is that it's not logical. Drumming is not logical. But so many guys that want to be logical, they use being logical as a comfort, their comfort blanket. When I first started to do this, I saw a lot of guys like that. They were computer, they were brilliant, and they wanted to play the drum. And they would trade rhythms on the computer over, and it's like, Let's try. I mean, you got to give them credit. Thank you for all of these blessings coming to us right now. Thank you for all of these blessings coming to us right now. Okay, now we'll sing. Ah, yeah. 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 Thank you, powers of the East. 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 Okay, we're going to change the groove. Keep it going. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. treat.
Nice.
Thanks for letting me
you.
play.
Glad I brought it.
So you can, hear it back,
Yeah.
later.
I like
These
it.
can come up a lot more. This one's really bright, traditionally very bright
Yeah.
sound, and it's well made, so it'll handle the tension.
Okay.
So, the humidity, everything gets soggy, but these are built to handle the tightness, because these are the calf skin, so they're really big. These
Yeah.
goats, I gotta kind of be a little
Gentle.
more gentle with them, yeah. But these guys are tough.
Okay.
It's wonderful. Congratulations, you got a good drone.
Thank you.
Thank
Because
you
we
for
were trying to
bringing.
get the original bata from Ghana,
Oh, wow.
and because our carvers, they know all that stuff, but
Uh-huh.
it's so sacred that they wouldn't do it.
No.
Even after all these years, it's like, no, I understood, it's fine, but
Yeah.
because the ones that I remember, the skin that stuck out, it was
Yeah.
like really, and there was all sorts of strange things like
Yeah.
tied on, and it was all the ropes and stuff, man,
Yeah.
gorgeous, but they were like weird because it was like they didn't trim the heads, the heads stuck out, This is a very well manicured one
Yeah.
compared to the traditional ones, but this is wonderful. Okay, did you have friends in Cuba that you got this?
Yeah, I got to go visit, and then while I was there, I put in a request. So,
Good.
okay, this is what I'd like to
Great.
have from my experience at
Where did you go?
Spark. I went to Havana, and then I got to drive from La Habana to Guantanamo. So we did a little road trip
Yeah.
on the first. I got to go twice, so that was the first time, and then the
Cool.
second into Santiago de Cuba and Guantanamo, and it's just a whole
You're
other
lucky.
world.
See it there while it's still there.
Yeah. No, it was definitely still there. 'Cause this was like 2000,
Yeah.
so
Great.
Well, the Cuban embassy just opened in D.C.
I saw
Yesterday.
that.
Yeah, I posted it on Facebook.
I never thought I would see that day.
That's you and how many millions of others.
Well, living in Miami, there was such a political polarization
Yeah.
in the Cuban community itself,
Oh yeah.
and it was a very dicey subject.
What do you mean polarization?
There was a group of Cuban Americans who had come over at the beginning when Fidel and Che took over, and they resented immensely. What they had to do was leave Cuba, and a lot of them brought their wealth with them. But they created an incredibly tight-knit Cuban community in Miami, and it was outsiders. They were a really tight group, very political, and they were very conservative. They became extremely conservative in the American political environment, and then the other contingent was, and they did not want communication with Fidel's government. They wanted to isolate Fidel, and if need be, starve Cuba.
Yeah. Have him go down with a ship.
So they were the ones with the strong lobby in Washington, D.C. that said, we do not want any sort of lessening of the, of all the sanctions
Embargo.
against Cuba. And they threw a lot of weight for a few reasons. First of all, they'd created their own banking system in Miami overnight. And it's like, so they had, they owned property. They were throwing, economic weight. Plus, they were willing to fight. And they became the number one choice for special ops. Because they were good.
Right.
So that gave them an extremely competitive edge in a conservative political arena. They got a lot of respect right away. So the other contingent was to get rid of the sanctions. Now these were people in America and in Cuba who, well, you couldn't admit it in Cuba. You had to toe the line. Fidel laid down the line. Either you publicly acknowledge what we're doing, the revolution, or you get out. And he didn't want to let people go. And he detained a lot of people. And these were like professionals, doctors, and lawyers, and teachers. Because he knew what he needed. He was no dummy. He knew that he had to build a completely self-sufficient infrastructure that was not going to be dependent on anybody, Russia or, Dole. So the people who wanted a democratic, representation in Cuba were the quote-unquote liberals. And they were caught in a bind because Fidel initially was the darling of the liberal American politics. But then when factions of the American government said, no, we're not going to play ball with you anymore, he went to Nikita. And so got fronted, money and weapons and missiles and everything. So Fidel, threw his lot that way, and he knew what he was doing. Man was brilliant politician, outlasted everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Every American president went after Fidel in their own way, and there were so many attempts. The exploding cigar, yeah, that actually existed.
Hmm.
It was as ridiculous as it sounds. They actually tried it. And the food poisoning, on and on. But Fidel had such an incredible commitment by the people that were around him. They believed in him. They knew what he was doing. Plus, he had an iron hand. So it was this mixture of charisma, political savvy. Meanwhile, the people who wanted lessening of sanctions with Cuba in the United States, they were suddenly being ostracized by their own Cuban brethren, who they're saying, you're a commie, you're a pinko, you're a fag, and all this stuff. And suddenly they didn't have any political foundation to lobby DC with. They had no economic clout, not like the other side. So this monolith developed, this huge Cuban-American lobby in Congress became very influential. So when the kid, what was his name, came over, and there was this big hysterical, emotional,
All that.
yeah. And should he send him back? And he came, his mother. That was this first crack, because Fidel
When was that?
played those cards
That was
very
around
well.
99, 2000.
Yeah, I kind
Yeah.
of remember that.
Yeah.
But in Miami, it was the flames were fanned, and it became a hysterical situation. And eventually, both sides looked incredibly, ridiculously stupid over this child. So I think people then, the Cuban community, started to say, you know what, this is pretty extreme. We've got to figure out
The
some
wealthy
solution.
community.
Yeah.
The wealthy
Yeah.
community.
Well, see, there's the white Cubans, and then there's the black Cubans.
Right.
And if you don't take that element into account, you don't understand Cuban at all. And you don't want to call it racism. It is, but you don't want to call it that because they're Cuban, right? And if you're Cuban, that counts for a lot. But the African and the Spanish have always been at odds with each other in the history of Cuba. And there was only one black revolution in Cuba, where the campesinos, actually took over control of the government for a very short time before the Marines came in. And during that short time, they put Desi Arnaz's father in prison. Because there was a law that the drumming we played tonight was against the law in Cuba.
Really?
Yes, yeah, it was forbidden.
Yeah.
If you played that 6-beat, you'd go to jail, especially if you were black.
Wow, taking the spirit away.
They were terrified. They were terrified of the non-Christian power that came through when these grooves were hit.
Fidel was?
the political establishment in Cuba before Fidel.
Ah,
But Fidel carried on through. He didn't change. That was his policy too.
Yeah.
You know, he's very restrictive because it created joy, it created hope, it created alternative thinking
Unity.
patterns.
he wasn't cool with that.
He could not control it.
What was his gig? I never really thought about
He was you know, a brilliant upper middle class child who had political aspirations at an early age, but was smart enough to be a doctor. But he decided that he wanted to represent the real Cuba. And so when he first decided to overthrow Batista, he was arrested and his people were killed and he was put in prison. And basically, just like every other revolutionary, that's where he created his manifesto. And then when he was released by public pressure, because he was already a hero, he was a college student. When they finally released him, he immediately left the country, put together an army, and reinvaded Cuba with a small contingency of guerrillas. And again, it went south on him. But he went into the mountains this time, and he put it together.
But what was his gig as far as politics and what he wanted for the country? You said he wanted the original or kind of.
He was a
didn't want music,
pragmatist
didn't-
more than an idealist. He realized that in order to have an independent, free Cuba, he was going to have to institute draconian measures. After Batista was so corrupt and such a puppet of the American corporations, you know, the fruit companies, that there was just no hope of reform in that situation. And the children were starving in the streets. And the mafia was running free. All the casinos were making them money. That money was leaving Cuba. And all the dirty deeds moving across South America and the Caribbean was all being staged, you know, out of there. That was the original Southern Front.
So he wanted.
He wanted all that out.
Okay, so he wanted the corporate worlds out, right?
He wanted the
kind of
American corporations out.
Colonization stuff out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's understandable. So then he wanted. I assume maybe some original values of Cuba or something like that.
He knew that the culture, the traditions of Cuba were strong. Because that was when he made this incredible speech, these
He's very
doves.
passionate mission.
Yeah, he had a mission. He was driven, and people saw that and respected. So when he made this speech, the doves were released, and they came and landed on it, completely unplanned. And so the people were saying this is a sign.
Yeah, of course they were.
And so he
Hard not
knew
to
how to
go.
play on that without
Yeah.
going too far with it.
So, but
But
did
originally
he
he was
increase the
courting.
quality of life.
Oh, he came to America.
Because my programming was Cuba was buildings were run down and all that stuff.
It was in a time warp. It was
And
like
that's not a
Twilight
good.
Zone.
I'm not making a judgment about it, but
Oh, that's just a fact.
Well,
it's a fact, yeah.
It's just a fact.
And I have friends from Cuba when I met in Miami. Different factions of that. I have a friend here actually. There's actually a Cuban performer Thursday night on the pier.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, at Santa Monica Pier.
Really?
You know, the Thursday
7
night
o'clock?
thing they have going. Yeah,